everyone, I'm Dan Alberts, and welcome to Dingo and the Coach. I am Dingo, and that is the coach. And first of all, I want to say this podcast is sponsored by Someone Who Meets Anderson Township and Munich grad Jim Surger. His latest book, 911, A Time to Always Remember, is on sale now nationwide. Over 90 Americans from coast to coast are in this book, including folks from McNick, Turpin, Anderson, including Steve and myself, host of the USBN Sports Podcast, and they're available. Books are sold at jimsurger.com. And it's like I said, joining me, Steve. And Steve, I tell you what, really cool. The first segment we had on this with the coaches, and had a really nice thing, and finally got a hold of our next guest, Chris Stewart. I've had the pleasure of knowing him at Anderson, and so it's going to be really cool to get with him. He's just done a great job at Madeira High School.
Well, no question. He's elevated that program, and so I want to ask him some questions on how he's done that, because he's very successful, and he's only got to continue.
Yeah, and you remember what it was like coaching the CHL back in the day, so we'll kind of get into that. So as we said, joining us is Chris Stewart. And Chris, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I had the pleasure of meeting you back in the day when you were at at Anderson High School. I just loved that. And so let's kind of get back before we get into Madeira and when you were at Anderson. But let's get back to like in your football career path. I'm not sure what the answer to this is. Did you go to high school in Cincinnati, or were you?
No, I went to high school in New York. I grew up in New York. My dad is from the Bronx. My mom is from Brooklyn.
Oh, wow.
They grew up in the city. And at the time when I was growing up, my dad was working for NBC in the 30 Rock building down in the city.
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I grew up there until my freshman year of high school. And then right when I was in middle school, I think that was like, mid 80s, Title IX was coming through, and our high school's football program got cut.
Oh,
gone.
Really?
So they didn't bring it back until I was a freshman in high school, and then we wound up moving my freshman year.
Okay.
NBC downsized, GE bought over NBC.
Okay.
And then my dad got moved to upstate New York in Albany.
Oh.
So then you didn't start school until after Labor Day.
The old days.
After Labor Day, right?
Yeah.
So now they start at the beginning of August, and we didn't move until end of August. So they're already in football practice and that, and I just never got into it. And in the town I grew up in before was a baseball town. So I was a baseball player, basketball player, and just never that path didn't take me there. But when I was growing up, my dad was a high school football coach.
Okay.
So I was the water boy on the sideline.
Oh, wow.
With the big, the extra baggy jersey on and all that kind of stuff. So, I grew up around it. And then when I moved here to Cincinnati, General Electric downsized again.
Okay.
And then moved my family to Cincinnati.
Okay.
So that's how we got here.
Okay. Dad was working for GE here.
GE. And then moved here to Mason. Grew up in Mason. And the funny story is that when we moved here, my parents looked at two places. They looked at Madeira and they looked at Mason.
Oh, no kidding.
The only reason they moved to Mason is because they had 4 kids.
Right.
Brand new house.
Okay.
As opposed to, a smaller house.
And when was that when you moved into?
That was right after 95.
Wow.
I graduated on June 22nd, June 23rd. We were in a car driving from Albany to Cincinnati, Ohio.
No kidding.
Yep. Stayed in the double tree right there in Blue Ash for 3 weeks with my family.
Wow. Is that right?
The house wasn't done being built yet.
Wow.
And then,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And so is your family still here?
No, they're in Texas now. So I'm in Texas. So they all got out. They all left me. They're all gone. We're going to the warmer weather.
The last one standing, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Yes.
So, all right. So let's go back to how did you get into coaching? Because I want to see what this coaching path was.
I was teaching PE in Lakota, and I was teaching summer school, and ran into a coach at Wyoming, Aaron Hancock, who was the head coach at the time, currently, and he was coaching middle school at the time. And so we started talking football, and he needed an assistant coach, and I went to coach with him.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, as I was coaching as an assistant middle school, a PE job opened up at Wyoming, and I went down there and started teaching elementary PE, coaching middle school football. He eventually moved up to the varsity level.
Okay.
And then I took over the middle school program.
Okay.
And kind of worked my way up the ladder with Bernie Berry when he was the head coach at Wyoming.
Yeah. Was Mike Overby the principal at the time?
He was the assistant principal when I was there for a couple of years. Yeah.
At Wyoming. At Wyoming.
At Wyoming. He was at, he might maybe at the middle school. He was a principal for a couple of years. And then he was at the high school as well, too. I think he went back and forth.
I think you're right.
So just real quick before, because we were kind of talking about this last night in our show, and when Vince Soriano started coaching at Anderson, I thought I knew a lot about football, and I really didn't. So when you first started coaching, did you think like, I mean, was it like kind of a wake up, you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to think about like how I progressed, and when I did that, was that kind of the same with you as far as when you started? Like,
oh yeah, you think you know some stuff, and then you have no idea what you're doing. But it was cool to be around a legend like Bernie Berry,
Sure.
The staff that he had at Wyoming, and the history that he had, especially at Beechwood when he was in Kentucky, at Beechwood High School, and the success he had to be able to learn just X's and O's, and then building a program and running a program and all those little things. That was really cool to be able to coach under him.
So coming from New York and different places, and obviously living in Mason, but you go to Wyoming. I mean, that's a whole different dynamic. I mean, it's a great community. They're really supportive. I think from outside looking in, what was that like working in the system, not just for Bernie, but just in the community there?
Oh, the people there are amazing. I mean, the Friday nights there. I mean, you don't know it when you first start it, and then you get indoctrinated into it, and you're like, holy smokes, this place is special. The history of all those great players that have come up through that program, the Ahmed Plumbers and the Richard Halls and the PJ Popes who've gone on, and the Marty brothers who played quarterback at Northwestern, and Butler, and all those guys, Evan Prater at UC now. The history of players that have come through that program. It's pretty wild. It's awesome.
They had a couple players that went on play like offensive, defensive line, Ohio State, I believe.
They had one, Jabril Black, who went to Michigan.
Okay.
And then his brother, Larry, who's currently the defensive line coach at Vanderbilt, he was at Indiana and had a little run with the Bengals. He was on the Hard Knocks show when the Bengals did the Hard Knocks.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
No, that is crazy. I mean, it's just a different dynamic. I mean, there's so much respect for Wyoming and their schools, and they're always voted, tops in the state for academics, but their sports are really good too.
Yeah, and they support it all. The facility they put in, the indoor facility they put in now next to their stadium.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
an indoor facility with turf that they can practice indoors. Locker rooms, new weight room. It's really, really nice.
That is just crazy.
Yeah,
you don't see that in too many CHL schools. You see that in the GCL. You don't see that.
And it's. I mean, some of these schools, there's a little bit more money. I mean, Wyoming's got money.
Right.
Let's face it.
That's true.
Which is going to help.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That is true. So let's talk about, obviously I remember your time when you were an assistant coach at Anderson High School with Evan Dreyer. Talk a little bit about how you got there and then your time at Anderson High School.
So I met Evan in 2014. I left Wyoming as an assistant coach, and he was given my number by another coach in the coaching fraternity ranks. And I didn't know Evan at all. He was at Western Brown, and he had just accepted the position at Oak Hills. And so me and him, we got up one morning and went to a Chick-fil-A, got breakfast and coffee, and started talking ball. And when I sat down with him, he said, we're going to meet for a little bit. We wound up talking ball for almost 2.5, 3 hours. And it was just a natural, it clicked really well. We were the same type of person, looked at football the same way. What do we wanted to do with the program? And, and then he asked if I wanted to go out and coach with him at Oak Hills. So, at the time I was living in Westchester up north near Monroe, and then teaching at Wyoming, and then driving all the way out to Oak Hills.
Oh, wow.
So I was driving almost an hour home every day after practice.
Wow.
But that speaks volumes of what kind of person Evan was to be able to be in that program. On Friday nights, I wouldn't even go home. I'd go to his house and sleep in the basement.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because and my wife, it was funny because my wife said, she goes, you come home at 11:30, 12 o'clock, no one's awake, and then you wake up at 6 the next morning, no one's awake. Like, why do you come home?
Right.
She
got a good point.
So me and Evan would sit in his basement, we'd watch the film, and we'd stay up and talk ball for hours. So for a whole year.
That's pretty cool.
And I would talk ball with him for an hour. And then the funny thing is, he left Oak Hills to come to Anderson. And I didn't even know if I was going to come to Anderson with him because of the way the time structure was going to be with practice. And I couldn't get out of school. So I was teaching at the elementary school, get out later. And then he got down to the nitty gritty, and I didn't even know if I was going to coach again, to be honest with you.
Really?
And then, I had some calls for some people, but it's like, you got to find the right place and to be able to do this and put the time in. I had 2 young kids that were young at the time. And so he asked, he's like, come out here and just coach DBs and special teams. You get here when you get here, and we'll make it work. And then I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So now I'm still living in Westchester, just driving an hour to the east side as opposed to the
just
west
the other
side,
way. Yeah.
You know, and so that's how I got to Anderson High School.
Wow. So what was the comparison of coaching Oak Hills and Wyoming? Well, and then Anderson. What was the difference?
Man, you go from small school to Division I, big school GMC, and you don't. And people who have never done that and don't understand the speed of the game, the size of the game,
right.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
It was right. Night and day, night and day, and it took a long time to adjust to that.
Yeah,
that's and then so I think that helped when I came from Oak Hills to Anderson. Kind of helped that experience with Anderson High School and understanding, okay, this is a whole nother level of football and a whole nother speed of the game of football.
Yeah. And so talk about that though too, real quick. We talked a little bit about your parents listening to our broadcast on USBN Sports. They'd always chime in, but that time that you had, that Anderson had, was they were good, and then they went bad for a little bit, and then when Dreyer came back, there was a time 7-3, and they made a play, and they should have beat Troy. And and
that one's
the call was bad, but talk about Jay Volpenheim was just unbelievable, and just the group of guys that you had in that first couple years that you were at Anderson was just a special group of kids.
It really was. It was a special group of kids, and they were hungry to win. And I think, you look at that coaching staff too that we had as well. You look at the kids, it was a combination of having great kids and then putting together a great coaching staff that Dreyer did with them, because there's at least 3 or 4 guys that went on.
Well, I was just getting ready to say that because, and later on I was going to say, you got Pitzer, that's at New Richmond. You got yourself that's at Madeira.
Yep.
You got Osborne that's at Western Brown. Dukes is at Tiffin.
Youngstown State now.
And there's one, and then Jeremy at Woodward.
Flug. He was the year after I left.
Okay, he was there, but
he still came to the staff. And then Tyler Evans was at Western Brown as well too. Before Osborne was there, he's an assistant at Lakota West now.
Wow.
So
that's a great staff right there.
Absolutely. Nick Schmidt went to Batavia.
Yeah, and now he's at New Richmond, right?
With Pitzer.
Yes.
They're back
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
That's just an unbelievable staff if you think about it.
Oh, and the cool thing about that staff is that there were no egos. Everyone knew what their role was, and they put in time, and they just loved the kids, and the kids responded by saying, "Oh man, this is awesome."
Yeah.
We loved them. We coached them up. We were hard on them, but they loved it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna love this too. I still give Dreyer an absolute hard time about not punting. At the golf outing, we always discuss that. He goes, "Yeah, my parents were listening, and they said, yeah, and he was just ripping you for not punting." So I still have to give him a hard time for not punting. But.
Absolutely.
So you left Anderson and became the head coach at Madeira. Talk about that whole process and how that worked. I mean, were you looking, or did it just open up and you decided to go? I mean, how did that all work?
So it was 2017. We were into that season, and we had a great year at Anderson High School. I mean, we finished that year 9-1.
Yep.
The only loss was to Milford, and then we wound up beating Troy in the playoffs that year.
Yes.
And we ran into Witten Woods.
Yes,
that was a tough one.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good running back. I think.
I think it was like Williams' name. Yeah.
So I knew the coach at Madeira High School, Mike Schaefer, at the time.
Yeah.
His wife and my wife went to grad school together, and then he had 2 stints at Madeira High School.
Okay.
He was there, got rifted, went to Little Miami, and then came back when they got his position back. Okay. So the first stint at Madeira, I got to know him just through the league and coaching at Wyoming. And then I got to know him at Little Miami too, because that was always our second scrimmage. Wyoming. So I would see him all the time.
Right.
And we would do passing scrimmage 7-on-7s. And he was another guy who's like, "Hey, can we just go talk ball? I like what you guys do with your offense and this and that." He's like, "Yeah." So we'd sit down, talk ball, and this and that. And our relationship kind of kept going. And then when he was at Madeira the second time, I was at Wyoming and the OC there. And he just texted me out of the blue and he said, "Hey, I think I'm ready to hang it up." He's like, "Are you interested in this job?"
No kidding.
And it was like week 7 or 8 during the 2017 season. And I was like, at first I was like, "Holy smokes, he's really going to do this." Like, wow, he's really going to step away from football. I didn't think he'd be that early. I think he thought he would go a little bit longer. And then it was like, I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. I knew at some point I wanted to do it.
Right.
But then you realize you're like, well, these jobs just don't come open. You don't get to pick the one you want.
That's right.
You kind of find a place to go. And I'm thinking, man, that's a good place to be. And I sat down and I talked to my wife and I was like, man, what do you think about this? Right? The greatest story ever. I love this story. This is burned in my brain. So we're living up in Westchester. We got like an island like this, and she's at the sink. It was late at night. Kids are in bed, and she's doing some dishes, cleaning up, right? And I'm doing some research on the school. And I was like, this is different than being an assistant coach. It's like, are you ready to do this? And she shuts the sink off. She's got a towel. She throws it over her shoulder, and she turns around and she goes, are you ready to do it? I was like, whoa, yes, whoa. I was like, she's all in.
Yeah,
she is all in.
I love it.
And I was like, wow. And then I was like,
okay, let's go.
Smokes. Am I ready to do this? That was the question. So you got to say, like, yeah, I'm ready to do this.
So it's kind of like the scene with Adrian with Rocky when she's kind of down and out, and she's like, just win.
Yeah. Nice comparison, Danny. That's pretty good. No, that's awesome. Well, obviously you jumped on board and was very successful and still are. But so what I want to ask you about, because you had some experience at Wyoming. I coached basketball at Marymount for years after I coached at Anderson for a long time, and then but it's a total different dynamic going into the CHL because every school is close knit community. But the football, it seemed like, is really really tough to get through. I mean, obviously you got your Wyomings, who's always they're a little bit bigger school.
Sure, Indian Hill.
Indian Hill.
And Taylor's the same way too.
Yeah, now they've come up and they got that nice stadium now. Taylor used to have that stadium where it was like Crossley Field.
Up on the hill.
Yeah, the corners of the end zone. But talk a little bit about football and the CHL and how you've adapted, from your experience at Wyoming and bringing that to Madeira.
Oh, I think you can look at every place that I've been and just taking a little bit of what we've done at each place. Being at Wyoming, yes, you have an understanding of what the communities are like, because at the time I was coaching middle school basketball and junior high baseball, so you kind of got an idea of the community because you're over there much.
Yep.
And they were always supportive of the sports, so I knew that was there. There's certain places where if you do it the right way, it's a gold mine.
Yeah,
it's a gold mine. If you do it the right way, and you'll get people, because sometimes they don't care what they're doing, they just want to be part of something great.
Yeah.
And if you do it the right way, they'll always want to come and play for you.
Right.
And they've had success in the past. I mean, I was there when they won the league in 2000. It was 11 and 12.
Okay.
I was on the wrong side of it. And
Right.
So, and that's what Evan asked me. He's like, do you have a chance to win there? I said, yeah, we do. The history has been there. If you do it right, you'll get some players. And in the small school, you get your ebbs and flows. You get a good class.
Absolutely.
You get a small class.
Sure.
And we had that last year. We had 2 seniors last year that played. And it was tough because then you get injuries and then you're playing kids that are young, sophomores, freshmen. There's schools going through it right now, and it's tough. But you take those things you learn of from Wyoming, of what you would do and what you won't do, and even at Anderson of working with Dreyer, how to run the program. And it's not even just X's and O's. It's the stuff in the locker room. It's the stuff with the parents and the meals and all that stuff and the meetings.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. And you can say, okay, what can we do here and what can't we do here? And you kind of just pick and choose what'll work. And some things you try and they don't work.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff we've done has been pretty good.
So you pick up some of the like at Anderson, maybe some of the offensive philosophies, and then at whatever other school, maybe some of the defensive philosophies.
Yeah.
Or is that?
I think you look at Wyoming; we were always good on offense, but it was the defense. You look at now; their defense has been amazing. You look at what they've done, how they practice.
Right.
You take a large school practice plan as opposed to a small school practice plan. It's completely different.
Absolutely.
And when you fluctuate with the amount of players, for this year we have over 50 players, so we kind of went back to a little bit of that larger school practice plan because we have more players that need to get reps. So
is that high, 50?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, we have 435 kids in the high school, and you get over 50 kids. You're 10% of the student population, over 20% of the boys probably in the school.
That's big.
So do you need, at that level, do you still need players playing both ways, or?
Yeah, we were just talking about this before. This year, it's been down, but I think last year, my first year, we walked in, there was 28 players in the program.
Wow.
you'd call for the defense, one dude would run on the field.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had 10 guys going both ways.
Oof.
Oh.
And what people don't realize, it's not the games you get tired. Yeah, okay, the kids will go out and play. It's practice.
Yeah.
How do you practice?
How do you practice?
How do you do
Right,
that?
so you would do a lot of like half line stuff instead of doing full line stuff.
Right.
You know, you kind of manipulate like, okay, how hard can you practice, because you got to keep these guys fresh for a game.
Yep.
How much can you beat them up in practice?
Yeah.
And then want to go out and play on a Friday night when they know they're going to go
that's got to be tough.
over 100 plays.
So, and do you, I believe this is kind of the case in the CHL, does the freshman dress varsity?
Yeah, we dress everybody, so everyone gets to go through warm-ups, and depending on if you're losing by a lot or winning by a lot, some of those young pups might get in the game near the end of the game, and we've been fortunate enough to get them in the game on the good end of it.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
that's good.
Which is a great thing.
Yes.
So trying to think, last couple of years. So obviously you guys have been good. Wyoming's always been good.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor's come on strong.
Yeah, Reading was good last year. They finished
Reading was
too.
Yeah, they're pretty decent this year, right?
Yeah, they were really good. That was we won in overtime.
I remember
that right?
We won it
Tell me the play too.
It's a little Philly special.
Yes,
Philly special.
yes.
3rd and 3, and our OC was in the box, and he's like, "You want to run what?" And I said, "Yeah, let's just run it. Let's win the game. Let's be aggressive and play to win the game." And that's one of the philosophies that I took from Evan when I worked with him. He was always aggressive. He was never passive, and I think that helped us in that situation. Learning that from him and saying, "Okay, we're going to be aggressive and go win in overtime as opposed to just playing for a tie."
No regrets.
Nope.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love the way the kids reacted to it. I saw that. It was great. It was great. Those are one of those things that when you make the call, you're great when when you win, and you're going to get hammered when you.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
So it's honestly hard to believe that this is year number 5, and it's unbelievable. You're having a great year, 7-0, 4-0 in the conference.
That's awesome.
Tied with Wyoming, and you close out the regular season with Wyoming. That's going to be.
Oh, you're kidding me! That's how the schedule lines up.
I'm just worried about this week.
Yeah, well, hold on. That's what I was getting ready to ask. That's what I was going to get ready to ask. So I know just playing in the Anderson-Turpin game when I played, and then when the game's going on, that kids sometimes look to that game before. How do you keep your kids? They're undefeated right now, and not overlook, and because you still got Wyoming down the road, that they don't overlook like this week's opponent.
Yeah, I mean, we're not stupid. I mean, these kids know exactly who their schedule was on the schedule. We get that, but we've harped on this, and the cool part is this is year 5. This is the first class that has been. They were 8th graders. Have come up through our program. So they don't know anything different.
Yep.
So this culture, this process has started. Really when they were in 8th grade. And they started to work out with us that following summer of preaching. It's one day at a time. You get 1% better. Focus on today. Tuesday's practice, Wednesday's practice, and then focus on tomorrow, Thursday. And then if you do those things, you'll have an opportunity to win on Friday. And if you continue to do those things, maybe you have an opportunity to play for a league championship. Cincinnati. You start winning, and everybody wants to talk to you. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Cincinnati.
Well, why do you think you're here?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not stupid either. I'm not sitting in this seat. No, I'm kidding too. But no, we get it. Mike Dyer calls, and then Cincinnati.com comes out, and they're allowed to talk to these players, and it's all this stuff. It's like, we know the schedule, but like we have a daily goal to get 1% better. We've got a weekly goal, be prepared for Friday night, and then we have a season goal, compete for a CHL championship. But if you do the daily goal, the weekly goal will happen, and then you might have an opportunity to have your season goal and compete for that. So we keep drilling that in our heads, into the players' heads.
Who do you have this week?
Deer Park.
Okay.
Deer Park, at Deer Park. So it'll be fun. I think Star 64 is doing the game.
Oh, wow. That's great.
They're going to replay it on Saturday.
Cool.
So I think some of the guys are going to get together and watch the game.
Sure.
So
that's cool.
I think they did that during the COVID year in 20. They did that. It was kind of cool. They had the announcers, the halftime stuff, and it felt like a real production for the kids.
That's awesome.
They enjoyed that. It was good stuff.
Really cool.
Well, I mean, 7-0 was incredible, and that's great. And I want to keep it going. I know you probably don't want to talk about individuals, because there's too many to probably mention, but you do have some highly experienced talent on your team. Yeah,
I mean, we have 15 seniors, and we have 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen are seniors. And I think most of them are 3-year starters. It makes a huge difference. It reminds me of the year that we were 9-1, and you had Zeke, and you had Terciano, and you had the Stone brothers, you had all those guys, and they were just experienced. They loved each other, and they were in the weight room all the time. This group that we have, reminds me to a T. Because we got kids that love this program. We have Justin Matsudo, who's the superintendent's son. Now the superintendent, he's like, I'll give him 5'9", right? And his son is 6'2", 300 pounds.
No kidding.
Tackle. He's come back from 2 ACL injuries.
Oh my God!
One is sophomore year, one is junior year, to be able to play his senior year.
Wow.
And he's crushing it.
That's a great story. Awesome. Yeah. Wow. Good. That's
that's awesome.
And we got Connor Kravac, who's a 6'5", 225 tight end going to Akron. He had all sorts of offers, and he fell in love with Akron and wanted to go there. Their head coach Joe Moorhead did a great job. He had come from Oregon, and he had been at Penn State and other places, and they did a good job.
Is that his first head coaching job, Moorhead? Do you know, or is he somewhere else? Do you know?
He was at Mississippi State for a couple years, and then went to Oregon as an assistant. And
Did Connor have an older brother who played?
Yeah, Jack Kravac. He went to Purdue. Yeah, he was a fifth-year senior in Notre Dame week early on in the season, but wound up blowing out his knee. He was 2 on the depth chart, too, so it was kind of paying off for him.
Right there.
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah, so he's got a twin brother on the team as well, too, Carson.
No kidding.
Great kid, yeah, so great family. They're on the boosters. They do everything. The dad's taking pictures on the sideline.
Awesome. Athletic family, I'm sure.
Yeah. Dad went to Madeira, played in college. Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice history there.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about your family. And Danny and I always bring this up because a huge thing, and you've already brought it up, getting some brownie points, the support of your wife, So tell us about your wife and your family and just the support they give you because a lot of people don't understand, especially in football, the time that it goes in.
Right.
It's not just 2 hours a day, and it's not just 5 days a week. It's pretty much go, as you mentioned, spending the night at Evan's house. But talk to us about your family.
My wife, Nicole, she's a guidance counselor at Lakota West.
Okay.
She's their second year at high school. She was in the middle school before that. She is a Lakota Townie. She grew up there, went to school there, has come back to work there. Her family, her parents live there, and she's amazing. It's the old Chris Farley skit, I'd be living in a van down by the river if it wasn't for her. That's great. You're right, though. There's so many things. I have a daughter in 6th grade, and I have a son in 4th grade, and they're involved in cheerleading, dance, soccer, football, and she's the chauffeur. She's every day. She's finding rides, and those schedules intertwine all the time. So she's picking up one, going here, going there, going there. It's unbelievable the amount of time that she puts in to support me in what we're doing during the season. It's little stuff that people will never see that she puts in, and she's awesome.
That's something we've always talked about because we not only does he do the basketball, I'm doing the broadcasting. We try to do these podcasts, and it's if we don't have the support of our wives doing this, we're in deep trouble. I'm serious. Yes. So we get darn lucky with it too. So
exactly right. You got that right.
Yeah. So I was going to bring it up again about the coaches, and that's pretty cool about Duke. Is it Dukes again? What's his name again?
Christian Dukes
at Youngstown. That's at Tiffin, and he was with Chris Reisert, who I know because his dad is my godfather. So I know. So I kind of had that connection with that. So I was really excited for him to go there, but for him now to be at Youngstown State is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I talked to him a couple months ago, and he called. He always keeps in touch and calls and sees how I'm doing, and we bounce ideas off each other. And he's a young coach. He's aspiring to get to the highest level he possibly can, and man, he's crushing it. Yeah. He's absolutely crushing it. The stuff he does on social media, and you see him promoting what he's doing and the kids are doing, and he's a worker and he's a grinder, and he gets after it. I learned a lot from him. He was came in my second year here at Anderson, and I learned a ton from him on coaching DBs. I thought I knew something, and I didn't know anything until he came in and we started talking football, and he's a fun guy to be around.
Yeah, I loved him. He's a great guy, and it's just really cool to see all the guys. And I'm really happy for you that I follow all you guys. You and and Osborne and Pitzer, and it's just really cool to see because I've been around you guys and just to watch you guys and the enthusiasm is pretty cool. So let's talk about like your most memorable college moment or high school moment. I mean, coaching moment.
Oh man, there's some good ones. To be a homer here to Anderson is when we played it's both of them. It was Turpin when they came over here in 2016.
Okay.
I didn't understand it.
The rivalry.
I knew about going to the state final, that regional final game.
Yeah.
But you didn't understand it. Like I didn't. Other people probably did.
Yeah.
And then I walked into that environment. I was like,
It's crazy.
This was awesome.
Crazy.
This was fun.
Yeah.
And then the next year, you get walking up the hill, and all the stands are on the one side.
Yeah.
And I would say there's some things coming out of the stands that may hit you when they're walking in. And it just, getting that villain of getting booed.
Yeah.
Like you'll never forget those moments that are burned into your brain. And then, there's so many great ones. And then they were playing at the Pit. It was Oak Hills. Because that was the first time that I ever coached there.
Oh, really? And you went to the Pit?
That's a great place.
Cow.
Opening week, so everybody's there.
Sure.
And that
the whole west side.
Oh, they were all there.
Up on the top of the houses and the decks.
You got like 10-year-olds yelling at you.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah, they tailgate as much as Bengals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a different world. There's been some great games, too. When I was at Wyoming, we won a game in 2009. It was a team that went to the Final Four. We were playing Indian Hill, week 10.
Okay.
Rivalry game, and we're down 49-42, and we're backed up, and we drive 80 yards and score a touchdown.
No.
We couldn't stop them. They were running all over us, right? So it's 49-48, and we decided to go for two. We go for two.
Okay.
I'm in the press box, and the coaches are talking, and we run the Boise State Statue of Liberty play.
Did you?
And we lefty quarterback. He fakes a pass to his right, and he hands it off, and the kid runs around, scores a 2-point conversion.
Oh,
no.
To win the CHL championship.
No way.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's awesome. So you go with the Philly special and then the Boise State.
Look at that. Like one of the top ones. Yeah. Reading 2 weeks ago. Philly special.
That was a great game.
It was an awesome game. It was a great high school football game. They tied it up with a couple seconds left. A former Anderson coaching for Reading, Luke Cripe.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
He's the head coach at Reading. So coaching against him was fun.
I forgot about that.
We were at Oak Hills together for that 1 year with Evan, so I knew Luke. And we
is he teaching at Reading too?
Yeah, I believe so. I think his wife works there too.
Wow, I forgot about that. So some more that are just going. And then, you probably went against him, but Aaron Szabo coaching at Kings is from Anderson High School. Yes. He's kicking butt, man.
Yes, they're doing a good job.
He's doing.
I follow all those guys. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But that's there's some awesome moments, and you're doing a great job, and I know that you're super busy, and for you to come here is even better for us. And just great to catch up with you.
Yeah, first of all, thank your wife because this was not on the schedule.
Yes, it was. It was not on the schedule.
She's good.
But honestly, congratulations on terrific job, and best of luck to you the rest of the way. And I know you don't want to talk about the third game, but go get them.
You're right.
I'm choked up.
Choked up already, right?
No, my voice is gone from coaching, so
mine too.
Yeah. So tell your parents, tell them, hey, I miss them.
That's awesome.
Maybe they could shoot me out one just on Friday night, just for the heck of it. Just say, hey, what's going on?
He's coming up next week my dad's coming up next week for the game. Yeah, my dad and my brother are coming up, so he comes up for one game a year, and
awesome.
Then he speaks to the team the night before the game as well too. The kids love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is great.
Good luck to the Mustangs.
Yes, we'll be following on Friday night. Maybe we'll get you back here after you make it far in the playoffs. How about that?
That'd be awesome.
One last thing. Jay Volpenheim, that was a first down, wasn't it, in the playoffs?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Are you talking about the Troy game?
Yes, it's a first down.
Absolutely.
It's on film, too.
It's on film.
It's on film. We got a first down.
Film does not lie.
I love it. So those guys will love to hear that. So, well, good luck on Friday night. Hopefully, we'll watch you get the CSL championship, and we can catch up after that.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. And our podcast was sponsored by Summit Estates, Anderson Township, and Manick grad Jim Serger, his latest book, 9/11, A Time to Always Remember, is on sale now nationwide. Over 90 Americans from coast to coast are in this book, including folks from Manick, Turpin, Anderson, including Steve and myself, the host of USBN, and available where books are sold at jimmyserger.com. And it's just been an awesome thing with Jimmy. In this book, he's getting all kinds of pub and on Fox News. And it's really cool that we were part of it. So thanks to Jim Serger for sponsoring this podcast.
Thank you for Jimmy. No, he's a great guy, and he deserves all the success.
Absolutely. So it's been great. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Chris Stewart, you've been watching Dingo and the Coach. We'll catch you next week.